Hi friends, welcome back to my channel about making money online. On this channel, I show my daily work routine and share some strategies that I discover, test, and apply in my work. And today, I will work according to one of the strategies I found recently. I will work with the help of 3 indicators. I will start setting everything up slowly now. So I've logged into my broker, and here I am adding 3 indicators to the chart. The first indicator that I will need is called SuperTrend. I have added it to the chart. I use a period of 10 and change the second parameter to 1.8. After that, I click the Save button. In other words, I don't change anything in the style. The next indicator I need is the one called Momentum. I add it to the chart. Here, I go to Settings and increase the period to 12. In style, I don't change anything either, just press the Save button. And lastly, the third indicator that I'll use today is called Vortex. I also add it to the chart, go to the settings, and here I increase the period to 15. I don't change anything in the style, and with that, basically, I've finished setting up the indicators. Now I'm setting up the chart I'll be working with. This is also a very important step. There's a nuance here that I'll be opening 1-minute trades, and accordingly, I set up the chart specifically for opening 1-minute trades. So, to get correct information for opening trades, I set the chart type to candlestick and use 15-second candles. For instance, if I set 10-second candles or 30-second candles, I'll receive different information. That's why, to open 1-minute trades, I've found the perfect balance for myself. I use 15-second candles with this strategy and this set of indicators. And now we can slowly move on to my strategy. But before that, friends, I remind you that I left a link to this platform I'm currently working on in the pinned comment. There is a free demo account available, and you can test this strategy without any investment. The link is in the pinned comment. So, how do I work with this strategy? Here, I have opened the chart and the main indicator that I use with this strategy, which is the SuperTrend indicator. So, I look at the signal it gives. If I see that there is currently a buy signal, then I consider a situation where I can enter an uptrade. If I see that there is currently a sell signal, I consider a situation where I can enter a downtrade. So there is currently an open buy signal. I see there was a buy signal after which the green line remains and no new signal has been received. So now I am considering whether I can enter up trades at all. And the second condition that must be met specifically for the SuperTrend indicator, if I plan to enter up trades, then the SuperTrend indicator line should be pointing upwards. So there are moments when the line is on a plateau. For example, there was such a moment here, and here was another moment like that. It happens quite often. And if I see that at the current moment the SuperTrend indicator is on a plateau, then I don't enter trades. So, in order to enter a trade, I need either the line pointing slightly upwards when there is an active buy signal, or the line pointing downwards when there is an active sell signal. Only then can I enter trades. And, for example, right now, the line is already on a plateau, so at this very moment, I cannot enter a trade. Just a minute ago, I could have entered a trade because this line was pointing upwards. This is the first condition, and this is the first thing I look at and pay attention to. Then, I look at the momentum indicator. In order for me to enter a trade, for example, an up trade, I need at least 4 consecutive bars, not counting the current one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 bars should be green, and accordingly, according to the momentum indicator, I can enter an up trade. If I wanted to enter a down trade, I need to wait for 4 bars, but this time in red. That is, here I am, specifically looking at the color of the bars. And the last indicator I pay attention to is the Vortex indicator. So, it shows the strength of sellers and buyers. And this strength is represented in the form of these lines. And, accordingly, for me to enter an up trade, I need the buyers to be stronger now. And for me to see that the buyers are stronger, it means that the green line is above the red one. If I enter a down trade, I need the red line to be above the green line, indicating that the sellers are stronger now. Well, Let's basically wrap up this theoretical part and look at how the strategy works, and I'll gradually move on to opening trades. I've prepared the trade time. I'll be opening trades for 1 minute, and I've also prepared the trade amount. I'll be entering a trade with $300. Alright, so on this chart right now, I can't enter a trade since SuperTrend is drawing a straight line. It is not directed upwards. According to all other indicators, the situation seems to be okay, but to not waste time, let me open another chart and see what else we have here. And initially, as I mentioned, I look at the SuperTrend indicator. Here, for example, there was a situation where the SuperTrend line was positioned and pointing downward like this. According to the momentum indicator, I see 3 bars without considering the current open red one. And now the red line is above the green line. So what do I see now? Another red bar has appeared on the momentum indicator. So now, with the momentum, I can enter a down trade, and with the Vortex indicator, I can enter a down trade. The only thing is, I need to wait until this line is pointing downwards. Alternatively, there might be a signal to buy right now. We see that yes, a green bar appeared on the momentum indicator, so I can't enter a trade here either. Let's see what else is there. As I switch between charts like this, I look at the SuperTrend indicator. So, what do I see on this chart? The SuperTrend line is slightly tilted upwards. Here are 4 columns in a row, and basically, according to the Vortex indicator, the green line is above the red line. And at the moment of entering the trade, I didn't see whether this line was slightly looking upwards. However, I entered the trade and am waiting for it to finish. As I said, I opened trades for 1 minute. Now let me tell you a little about the trade amount. In general, regardless of the strategy I use, I always adhere to one simple rule. I use an amount that does not exceed 1% of my balance to open a trade. So now I entered the trade with $300. So this is almost the maximum trade amount for my balance. Why am I using such a modest amount? Well, because I understand that my trades can end up in a loss regardless of the strategy I use or the trades I open. I always understand that my trades can close at a loss, and that's normal. For example, this trade may calmly close at a loss. And in order to somehow recover losses, I use a doubling strategy. So now my trade closed at a loss, which means the next trade I will open with a doubled amount. So for $600. Now I will look for a suitable market situation. As soon as I find this market situation, I will continue to explain how exactly I use the doubling strategy. Well, here I can't enter the trade according to the SuperTrend indicator. I need to find a really good market situation where I can easily enter a trade. Let's see. Nothing fits me here so far. Well, here I can enter a down trade. According to the SuperTrend indicator, everything is fine. The red line is pointing down. According to the momentum indicator, there's a lot of red bars in a row here, and right now the sellers are stronger than the buyers. And this has been happening for quite a long period of time. That is, the red line is above the green line. That's why I entered the trade. And I entered this trade for $600. So I am paying attention to the payout. I see that if my trade closes in profit, I will receive $1,152. From this amount, I subtract $600, which is the amount of my current trade. Then I subtract the amount of the previous trade, which is $300. This means that if this trade closes in profit, I will cover the loss from the previous trade and earn a little extra on top. If this trade ends in a loss, then I will open the next trade again with double the amount, that is, already at $1,200. And in this way, I increase the trade amount until my trade closes in profit and I recover all the losses. Well, for example, just now another trade closed at a loss. This happens again. I just caught a small bounce. I can either wait here for the right moment to enter a down trade. Basically, I think that in a minute or 15 seconds, if the price continues to go down, the SuperTrend indicator will again be slanted down because according to all other indicators, we have a fairly long downward movement. Here, I need to wait a little. Well, basically, yes. Here, I can enter a down trade again for 1 minute with $1,200. If this trade for $1,200 closes in profit, then I will recoup the loss from the previous trade of $600 and the loss from the first trade which I opened for $300. That's why I use the doubling strategy. It helps me recover multiple losing trades that I had before all at once. But in order for my balance not to run out quickly, meaning that after, say, the second or third doubling, I don't lose all my balance, I use a very small amount at the beginning, which does not exceed 1% of my balance. So, for example, just now before this, I had 2 consecutive losing trades. Right now, I'm opening a trade for $1,200, and looking at my balance, I realize that I still have a very large margin of safety. In other words, I won't panic even if this trade, for example, ends up closing at a loss. It means I will be able to cover myself in the same way. This is specifically about balance distribution. Now I'm watching my trade. I see that the trade closes in profit. That is, I recovered all my losses and made a little profit on top. What do I do in this case? I'm returning the amount of $300 here. And, for example, now I can move on and look for some market situation where I could open a trade, for example, an uptrade. Here's what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, well, almost 4 columns. 3 columns? No, the situation here is not very good to enter a trade. We need to find some good chart. Preferably, there should be a strong upward movement. Well, like here, for example. Basically, a nice chart. I can enter an uptrade now if the SuperTrend indicator starts pointing upwards. The line has slightly turned, basically. I entered the trade, and at that moment, the line leveled out again. Well, let's see how this trade closes. According to the other 2 indicators, I see that on the momentum indicator, there is a huge number of consecutive green bars, and currently, the buyers on this chart are much stronger than the sellers. That is, we see that the green line is much higher than the red one. Well, let's see how this trade closes. Again, if it closes at a loss, then I can enter a doubled amount here and open the next trade for $600. Well, I see that the price is slowly approaching the line drawn by the SuperTrend indicator. Maybe now a sell signal might appear on this chart, but no matter how this trade closes now, and most likely it will close at a loss, I won't be able to enter an uptrade on this chart for the foreseeable future. I'll have to look for some other market situation now. A few seconds until completion, and yes, this trade also closes at a loss for me. I will go look for another good market opportunity. For instance, right here I immediately find such a market situation. Well, the only thing is, I didn't wait a bit. Now, in principle, there are 4 bars according to the momentum indicator, not counting the open bar. The buyers are gaining strength. And according to the SuperTrend indicator, the line was sloping upwards at the moment of entering the trade. Therefore, I entered the trade for 1 minute. Now, I will just wait to see how this trade closes, and then I'll see what to do next. Just a few seconds left. A sell signal appeared on this chart. I'm not very successful in entering trades in this video. I mean, right at the moment of entering the trade, I encounter either a slight correction or a rebound like it happened with the down trades. Nevertheless, there's an opportunity to see how my doubling strategy works and how I use it. So, I've entered another trade. I don't think I'll explain again why I entered the trade. I mean, it's clear from the indicators. I've repeated this several times already. I'll just wait for this trade to close. Well, by the way, let me tell you about one more thing that I haven't talked about on my channel for a long time. Usually, my first or second trade with doubling already closes in profit. Nevertheless, for example, I opened the last trade for $1,200. And it seemed like the next trade I should open would be at $2,400. But I periodically check the payout amount. And it's important for me that this payout amount covers all my losses that I previously incurred and takes me into profit so that I earn a little net profit on top. Since the returns on the charts are not 100% but slightly less, I try to make trades on charts where the return is about 92%, which means that at some point, if I just keep doubling, the payout amounts will no longer be enough to cover all my losses. To avoid getting into such a situation, after a certain point, I start increasing the trade amount by slightly more than double. So, for example, the next trade I will open will not be for $2,400, but for $2,850. Alright, I'll prepare this amount and probably go look for a good opportunity again to open an up trade. So, what do we have here on the chart? Well, I was a little late. The SuperTrend indicator line has leveled out again. I can enter a down trade here. Basically, it's a very good market moment. Based on the momentum indicator, I can't enter up trades yet, but I really want to enter an up trade. Well, here I can basically enter an up trade. Before that, there were several, like 4 bars in a row of green color. There was a recent crossover on the Vortex indicator, meaning the green line crossed the red line from bottom to top. This is generally a pretty good signal that I can start entering up trades specifically based on the Vortex indicator. A signal to buy appeared from the SuperTrend indicator, and the current line is pointing upwards. So I entered into an up trade at $2,850. Now it's just a matter of waiting to see how this trade closes. So, there are just a few seconds left and my trade is closing in profit. I recover all my losses and make a little on top. That's how today's trading session went, a bit nerve-wracking. I had a lot of overlaps today. I haven't caught so many overlaps in a row for a long time, but nevertheless, thanks to money management, there was nothing particularly nerve-wracking. Here, I can return the amount of $300, and with that, I will gradually finish my video. I hope this video was useful and interesting for you. Maybe you found something new for yourself. If so, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give it likes. And also, remember that everything I talk about on my channel is just my personal experience. It is not financial advice. I do not give financial advice. Please keep this in mind. With that, I say goodbye to you. I wish you success.